Welcome back. Today we're going to walk through three stories, three true accounts that are, well, they're deeply unsettling. We've gathered sources that all center on home intrusions, but with a very specific backdrop, a severe thunderstorm.
It's an interesting setup, isn't it? The sound of a storm, for most people, is comforting. You feel safe tucked away inside while the world outside is just chaos.
Exactly. But what these stories show is how that comfort, that shield of noise and isolation can turn against you. The storm that's supposed to be protecting you is also the perfect cover for someone who wants to get in.
And that's the psychological turning point, when that feeling of cozy isolation suddenly becomes, total vulnerability. The noise masks their approach, and if the power goes out, you're truly alone.
So let's get into the first case file. It's a scenario a lot of us can probably picture. A 13-year-old boy, home alone for a rare night of freedom. He's making the most of it. He's dragged his gaming setup down to the den to use his dad's huge flat-screen TV and the Bose sound system.
Right, so he's completely immersed. He's playing Black Ops, the volume is cranked way up, the rain hammering against the windows just adds to the atmosphere for him. It's his perfect little bubble.
Then it's after 9 o'clock and the doorbell rings, and he knows right away that's not his parents. They have keys, they wouldn't ring the bell, especially not in a storm like this.
And this is the first crucial moment. His curiosity gets the better of him. When you're home alone, silence is your best defense.
He goes upstairs trying to be quiet and he calls out, "Who's there?"
And that's the mistake. He's just confirmed for whoever is outside that someone is home. Yeah, it's probably not an adult.
The reply is a man's voice. He says, "I need to use a phone." So the boy, realizing what he's just done, retreats back downstairs. His heart is pounding. The doorbell rings again, then stops. He figures, okay, maybe the guy left. He goes back to his game, tries to get back into that safe bubble, and this is where that whole idea of sound masking just becomes terrifyingly real. He's relaxed again, he's focused on the game, and then he hears a small sound off to his right. He looks over and sees the back door, the one in the den, level with the yard. He sees it closing, and a tall man he's never seen before is stepping inside.
The storm, the game.
Yeah.
It provided the perfect acoustic cover. You would have never heard the sound of the lock being tampered with or the door being forced. The intruder just walked right in.
He said he just dropped the controller, didn't even think. It was pure flight mode. He sprints to the nearest door, which is the home office, slams it shut, and locks it.
And the intruder's reaction is immediate. The moment that lock clicks, the entire dynamic shifts.
He says the handle starts shaking violently, and the man's voice, it's not calm anymore. It's pure rage. He's screaming, "Open the expletive door, you little expletive."
That complete switch from, pretending to need help to just raw aggression. It shows he felt trapped. But the boy had one more way out.
The office had another door, one that led to the garage. He hits the button for the garage door opener. He remembers it being so loud and moving so slowly. He was terrified the guy would hear it. But as soon as it's opened just enough, he crawls under it and just runs into the pouring rain towards his neighbor's house.
And they call the police. When the officers show up, they find the man, a John McCardy, still inside the house.
Yeah, they took him out in handcuffs. He was apparently yelling, seemed drunk or high, claiming the house was his and the narrator was his son. He was charged with criminal trespass.
But that's the thing, isn't it? For the legal system, it's a simple trespass. For the boy, his sense of safety in that house is gone forever. He knows this man knows where he lives. The damage is done.
100%. The terror is real, no matter who the intruder is. Okay, let's shift to the second case. This one is very different. We go from all that noise and aggression to something based on just pure sensory horror to silence.
This one takes place really late, around 4 a.m. during another one of these huge thunderstorms.
The narrator is just scrolling on Reddit, and then the storm does what storms do. The power cuts out. He falls asleep for a bit, but then wakes up later. Not to the thunder, though. He wakes up to what he calls the eerie silence of a soft wind. The storm had passed. The house was cold and quiet. He's thirsty, so he grabs his phone for a flashlight and heads to the kitchen. The second he opens his bedroom door, he says he's hit with this blast of freezing cold air. And in the kitchen, he sees why. The sliding patio door is wide open.
This is where your brain tries to protect you. He immediately rationalizes it. Oh, my grandfather must have forgotten to lock it. He shuts it, locks it, and goes back to his room. But that feeling of dread is already set in.
Right. He can't settle down. He's doing all the things you do when you feel spooked. He shoves a desk chair up against his bedroom door. He checks the closet, the usual spots.
He's trying to secure the perimeter, so to speak. rebuild that sense of safety.
He gets back in bed, phone on, kind of as a nightlight. And then, this is where the story just takes a complete nosedive into horror. He feels a little bump from under his bed. And right after, he hears the springs of the mattress creak. And he realizes the door, the closet.
Yeah.
He never checked under the bed.
It's the most primal fear, the most classic hiding spot, and it's the one we always forget to check. The realization must have been just paralyzing.
He leans over the side of the bed, shines his phone light underneath, and he sees her. And in his words, extremely unhealthily skinny woman with bloody shot eyes and yellow teeth, just staring right back up at him. And she's smiling this ungodly grin.
And notice what she does. Nothing. She doesn't attack. She doesn't move. She just stares for a few seconds. It's not about theft. This is psychological warfare. It's about terror.
And then she cackles. He said it was like a fucking witch.
That sound just breaks the spell. He jumps out of bed, shoves the chair aside, and just bolts down the hall, hammering on his grandparents' bedroom door.
And his grandfather is ready. He comes out almost instantly, holding a gun, something the narrator never even knew he owned.
They go back to the room, but she's gone. All they see is a glimpse of a white figure running away from the bedroom window outside. The grandfather fires a warning shot into the ground, just to make sure she keeps going.
And this is interesting. They make the decision not to call the police. They figured without a clear ID or camera footage, what could be done? It's a really common reaction, actually. So their solution was immediate and practical. The very next day, they installed brand new heavy-duty locks on every single window and door in the house.
That silence and just that image, it's potent. Okay, for our last file, we're moving to a situation of just maximum isolation, where the weather and the location create the perfect trap. A classic scenario. A couple, the narrator and his girlfriend Cass, are in a small mobile home, sort of luxury camping way upstate. The storm has knocked out all cell service. They're completely cut off.
No lifeline. Any help would be hours away. They're actually on the deck watching the lightning when they hear it. A loud voice from the woods.
Yeah.
But they can't make out what it's saying.
And hearing any human voice out there in that kind of isolation during a storm, it's immediately alarming. You don't know if it's a threat or a call for help.
He goes to the edge of the deck to look. A flash of lightning illuminates someone standing right at the tree line. Then a second flash, and the person is much closer, maybe 20 feet away, wearing bright white clothes. But here's the detail that turns it terrifying. The person isn't moving, just standing there, staring.
That's a huge red flag. We call it intruder script deviation. Someone lost in a storm would be waving, shouting for help. Someone standing motionless is doing surveillance. They're watching, assessing.
They scramble back inside, lock everything up, and a few moments later, they hear it. Heavy footsteps on the wooden deck, loud enough to hear over the rain. But instead of a knock, he says there was this weird shuffling sound at the door, like someone was trying the handle, testing the lock.
Again, they're not breaking in. They're probing, testing the defenses and trying to gauge the reaction from inside.
The narrator peeks through the curtain just in time to see the figure in white running off the deck. He thinks for a second maybe it's over. But then, a loud bang on the bedroom window. And almost immediately after, another bang from a different window.
That confirms it. It's not one person. It's a coordinated effort. They're trying to create a distraction to draw attention to one spot while they try to get in somewhere else.
So the narrator, he makes a choice. He has his dad's rifle already loaded, and instead of hiding, he decides to confront them. He unlocks the front door, yanks it open, and goes out onto the deck. And the man in the bright clothes is still there, just standing at the bottom of the deck stairs. So he fires the rifle up into the air. He hears the guy yell, "Oh, shit!" And then he hears the voices of at least 2, maybe 3 people crashing away through the woods.
That aggressive confrontational response probably saved them, but the damage was done. He knew these weren't lost hikers. Their family had used that property for years, felt safe there. That ended that night. They packed up and left the next morning and never went back.
So when you look at all 3 of these accounts together, some pretty clear patterns start to emerge.
Well, the storm is the obvious one. It's the great enabler. The noise provided cover in the first and third cases, and the silence after the storm in the second case created a totally different kind of vulnerability. And in the second and third cases, the lack of communication, no power, no cell signal, that just multiplies the fear.
And the reactions are so different. We see pure flight from the boy in the first story. In the second, it's that paralysis, then flight to a protector. But in the third case, it was a direct fight response. Confront the threat head on.
That's right. But I want to go back to the intruders who are just watching. The woman under the bed, the men standing still in the woods, That's not typical behavior for a simple burglary.
No, if they just wanted to steal something, they had their chance, especially the woman under the bed.
Exactly. Their goal seems to be less about taking things and more about violating the sense of safety itself. By being seen, by just standing there and observing, they inflict a trauma that lasts far longer than a missing wallet. They're basically trying to destroy your peace of mind.
So for you listening, what's the takeaway here? It's that the biggest threats can come when you feel the most secure, when it's loud and chaotic outside and you think nothing can get through your walls.
It's a reminder to never be complacent, to understand that people can and will use the environment, whether it's loud or quiet, to their advantage.
It definitely makes you think differently about a cozy night during a storm. Were they there to steal, or were they just there to create terror? And I think that's the question that really sticks with you.
Be aware and always question things that don't feel right, especially when nature is giving someone a place to hide.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into these sources. We hope it's given you something to think about and maybe encourages you to double check those locks tonight.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, for more stories from the shadows. We'll see you next time.